Now we have to deal with this together.
Horror movies are a great way to escape from reality. We enjoy seeing horror films on and experiencing a few jump scares from the big screen, even though we know that nothing we see in a horror film could really occur in real life. Or does it? Movies like Psycho, Exorcist, and The Shining gave this genre a distinct popularity among moviegoers. In today's video, we are about to face an alien spider who lands on Earth and starts killing a family who keeps it as a pet, and things start to go downhill. In the past, including movies like 1955's Tarantula, 1977's Kingdom of Spiders, 2000's Spiders and its sequel, Hollywood has produced many movies with spiders as the antagonists of these movies. But in this movie, the spider comes from the infinite space and starts creating a massacre of its adopted family. So without any further delay, let's get on to today's video. But before we go into explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin.
A big one.
Murders in the building. The movie starts with an elderly woman who sees a scary spider on the walls of her apartment while watching a horror show on the television. Concerned about the presence of the spider, she searches for the phone book and calls animal control, but she suffers from dementia and needs to be reminded of everything. So she reads aloud the notes on the wall to give the address to the bug control. Her doorbell rings and a young man shows up on her doorstep, complaining to the old lady why she should have called him, not the other bug guys who are scammers and criminals running the business to loot people. But he tells her that some weird gooey stuff is coming out of her apartment which is unsuitable for her, and he needs to inspect what's happening there. After listening to him talk for a few minutes, the old woman politely asks how he can help her. When the man tells her about a call about the bugs, she denies making any calls. Suddenly the sound starts coming from the apartment, and the woman and the young man into her apartment for an inspection. The young man enters the apartment and enters a dark, scary room that seems like a child's bedroom, but suddenly he finds a blood trail while inspecting the room. He starts following the blood trail all over the room and finds a bug control guy covered in blood, struggling for his survival. The young man tries to look around but sees something on the walls. He starts screaming loudly and comes out of the room covered in blood and wounds, begging for help, but he gets dragged by something and the door closes. It's on. The old woman witnesses this and gets really scared, but suddenly she notices the comedy show on the TV and forgets everything that has just happened in her apartment. Then she again starts calling another bug control about the noises in the building. It's possible that her dementia doesn't let her remember anything that happens around her, so she has been writing her name, address, and everything like the guy from Memento, and because of her short memory span, she has been calling up people and feeding the creature in her apartment. Now the movie goes back to the past. The spider across the verse. A tiny meteorite enters an apartment building through the window. With the meteorite comes a small spider and starts living there. A young girl named Charlotte finds the spider in her grandma's apartment while trying to steal her childhood toys. After looking for many names on the internet, she calls the spider Sting. The girl tends to sneak into her grandma's apartment through the ventilation pipes, which she constantly uses to access her old playhouse. While she's on the ventilator, Charlotte finds her paternal grandma, Gunter, complaining to her father about her sneaking into her apartment, using the vent and destroying her house. Before her dad could question her, Charlotte quickly comes back to her room, and when he asks her about the incident, she denies anything happening. She keeps the spider in a glass jar and starts playing with it. She starts communicating with the spider by making different noises and feeding it minor bugs as food. Then we get to meet the old lady from the movie's beginning, Charlotte's maternal grandma Helga, who lives with them in their apartment because of her dementia. Charlotte's dad, Ethan, is an illustrator who draws comic book characters to make ends meet. One night, while making his sketches, Ethan enters his daughter's room, finds a few sketches of Sting, praises her daughter for her skills, and puts her into bed. At night, while everyone is asleep, Grandma's pet parrot gets annoyed by someone's presence in the apartment, but it turns out that it's Charlotte's new pet Sting, who has been growing in size, attacks, and kills the parrot. The killer spider. The following day, while everyone is busy having their breakfast, they hear Grandma Gunter screaming at the top of her lungs from the downstairs apartment. When they leave their food and reach her place, they find the pet parrot dead, with his dead body half-eaten disastrously. They call in animal control. The man we saw at the beginning of the movie getting dragged by the spider shows up and inspects the apartment. He even checks all the vents and puts some gas suspecting some animal or bug hiding in the pipes, and sprays pests all over the building. When he starts inspecting Charlotte's room, She disrupts him from doing so and shows him her spider. The moment he starts looking into the glass jar, the spider scares him by giving him a jump scare, to which Charlotte thinks Sting likes the guy, but he runs off from that place after the incident. Later in the night, one of their downstairs neighbors, Maria, gets distracted by the barking noise of her dog. However, we're shown that Sting has managed to escape the jar and has entered Maria's condo. After letting the dog out of her room, Maria goes to get her meds from the cabinet, and there we see Sting sitting calmly, looking for a chance to attack her. After taking her meds, Maria picks up her family photo from the wall and starts looking into it with tearful eyes. It is possible that she has lost her family in an accident, and that's the reason she's been living there alone in that apartment. But suddenly, Sting attacks her from the back of the photo frame and clings to her face. She tries to escape from it, but the spider attacks her repeatedly. Then the spider enters her throat and starts going down slowly into her body and comes out from her by tearing her stomach. The next day, Charlotte takes Sting to a nerdy guy named Eric in fear of getting noticed by her parents. She introduces her pet to Eric and explains to him how cool her new spider is, which eats bugs and is growing significantly day by day. After listening to this, Eric explains the ecology and behavioral aspects of spiders and warns her that her pet might be a dangerous creature that she should get rid of as soon as possible. After listening to some noise inside, Ethan and Charlotte's mother, Heather, finds Maria's dog hiding in the vent. Eric takes the dog back into Maria's house but hears nothing from inside, even after knocking for several minutes. He opens the door using a spare key and finds her dead body instead. After the police take away Maria's body, Eric shows him the spider, which has grown in size, and tells him that this might be a killer spider who killed Maria. Furious with Charlotte's secret pet, Ethan rushes into his apartment and asks Charlotte about the spider she has been hiding from everyone. Ethan tells Charlotte that she should not keep secrets from her family and needs to get rid of this poisonous spider. Charlotte begs him not to do that, but Ethan tells her that he has already thrown the spider out of their building.
Spider bite will paralyze its prey.
Return of the Spider. Late at night, Grandma Gunter starts looking for her pet cat but cannot find her anywhere. Later, when she hears a cat noise coming out from the vent, she gets into it to look for her cat but gets killed by the spider instead. In the morning, in Ethan's apartment, unaware of her grandma's death, Charlotte is playing with her baby brother in the hall, while her dad trying to fix the TV, but Ethan gets triggered after attempting to fix the TV for hours and blows a punch on the TV screen. Seeing this, Heather asks Charlotte to take the baby away from the room and starts confronting Ethan about his recent behavior. After taking her baby brother into another room, Charlotte puts on the headphones and starts listening to music at a top volume to avoid her parents' fight. While Ethan and Heather are fighting in the hall, Heather notices the massive spider on the ceiling of their house. Before Ethan can do something, the spider attacks them and kills them. After hearing the dog's constant barking, Charlotte gets out of her seat and goes to the kitchen to get the dog food. While she's on her way to the kitchen, the spider drags the body of her dad all around the house, but as she is using her phone and listening to loud music, she doesn't notice anything around her. We also see that Ethan's still alive, but the spider is dragging him into an underground place where it has been trapping all its prey covered in a spider web. Revenge time. When a dog keeps barking even after getting the food, Charlotte removes her headphones and looks for her parents, but finds no clue about them. Then she starts suspecting that Sting might be responsible for their disappearance. Then she notices Sting up on the wall, who has now grown from a tiny spider to this giant killer monster. She gears up with some makeshift weapons to kill her pet on her own. While searching for the spider, Charlotte comes down through the vent to her grandma Helga, who has been sitting there knitting sweaters and watching TV like she always does. Charlotte asks her if she has seen anything scary or weird, but Grandma Helga tells her that she hasn't seen anything weird. However, when she tries to call the dog to her, the dog runs away from her. Charlotte smells Granny's blanket and smells a distinct smell, the smell of mothballs. Grandma Helga is fond of the smell of mothballs, and she has them lying around all over her apartment, and that's the reason Sting has not been able to kill her all this time. Charlotte goes to the kitchen and blends all the mothballs using the blender. She gives Granny a goodbye kiss and asks her to call the police if she needs some help. Then she puts the solution all over her and enters into the room where the spider has kept Ethan. She saves him by pouring the solution on him, and they escape from the room. Then we get to see the beginning of the movie where the bug guy comes into the apartment after Granny calls him for an inspection. Meanwhile, Charlotte gets attacked by the creature, but Ethan saves her by spraying the mothball water on it. While they try to figure out a plan to kill the creature, the bug guy gets dumped in there by the spider. Already aware of the existence of the spider, when he first comes for the inspection, inspection before, the guy freaks out and starts getting mad at Charlotte for starting the trouble. When Charlotte tells him about the mothball water and how it acts as a repellent for the spider, he doesn't listen to it and gets killed by the spider. Ethan and Charlotte pour the solution on Heather and the baby and save them from the spider's captivity. While they were trying to escape the place, the spider attacked them. Ethan tries his best to open the door but gets bitten by the spider. It also tries to kill Charlotte, but she sees it coming through the parking door and presses the button, which drops on the spider and kills him for good. Heather tries to save Ethan by giving him CPR, which kind of works, and Ethan survives death. While the happy family escapes from their fate from the arachnid, we see more spiders emerging from the eggs. So what's the deal with this killer spider? This spider came from outer space, maybe some unknown alien planet, with a meteorite and entered Grandma Helga's apartment. At the beginning of the movie, the spider seems normal and does not look harmful, but after Charlotte starts feeding it different bugs as food, it grows in size day by day. This extraterrestrial spider does not have any special features except its huge size. It looks exactly like any other spider in its appearance, with 8 legs and a spider body, but it is a very intelligent creature that waits for the night to attack its prey. It knows where and how to hide from eyesight of the people. It also has the ability to remember the location and the person as it comes back into the house when Ethan throws it out of the building and attacks him. This movie draws inspiration from the famous Jeff Goldblum star 1986 movie The Fly, where the fly gets a similar kind of treatment in the movie. How to kill the spider? At the end of the movie, Charlotte gets to know that the spider can't bear the smell of the mothballs, and that's the only reason that old Granny's been alive all this time. So the only way to keep the space spider from you is to have as many mothballs around yourself. In the end, Charlotte kills the spider by dropping the door on it, so I believe killing the creature is not hard if you have it under a heavy material like iron or stones, for example. They can also be killed by guns and explosions, but that is kind of hard to find in a common household. There's definitely a sequel on the way. When the egg starts hatching at the end of the movie, we're pretty sure that they're already planning a sequel for the movie. If it results in a pretty successful box office, like every horror and creature movie, they're keeping an open ending for a possible future where they will get to explore more about the creature and showcase more than one creature, or turn it into an apocalyptic movie where spiders run the world. Marvel's verdict. This is a fresh take on the horror genre by casting a spider as the villain of the movie, because I'm pretty sure people are now bored of watching Spider-Man as the friendly neighborhood hero who saves the world. But this space spider is totally the opposite of our favorite Marvel hero and loves destroying the whole neighborhood. From its creative storyline to its jump scares and comedic deliveries, it is a terrific movie experience for the audience. This movie is full of suspense and nostalgic presence like the 80s, which works for it. However, the movie still doesn't provide any further details about the creature, nor does it provide its motives and why it is trying to gather all its prey in the underground. Why just keep them all alive, covered in its web? Why is he not killing them like the few others? But still, this movie is far better than most of today's horror movies, which aren't as scary even in their intentional jump scares. And that is it for today. Let us know what you think of this movie in the comments section down below. Stay tuned, as we'll be back with more new videos and movie reviews. So don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.